He is now New Orleans' top prosecutor, and he says the DA's office will have a new way of handling crime. Williams took the oath of office during a swearing-in ceremony that was streamed online today. It happened that way, of course, because of COVID-19. Williams says racking up convictions will not be his goal as DA. Instead, he says his office will take a more progressive approach to prosecutions. It means people arrested on drug charges, for example, might instead be referred to groups that help with addiction rather than going to court. But he promised that the most serious crimes will still have consequences.
If you commit a serious crime in Orleans Parish, you will face consequences. But in order to have the energy and resources to focus on these most heinous and harmful crimes, we will no longer clog up court dockets with cases that arise out of addiction and mental illness and homelessness.
Meanwhile, Williams has been charged in federal court with tax fraud. He says he's innocent of the charges. There is no trial date set for that case.